So I am recording, but as always, if you need to ask a question because I'm not making any sense, or you need a different variation of the pose because it doesn't feel good, or if you don't hear me, feel free to come out, unmute yourself. That would be better. I also will have the chat open if I can remember how to do it. Chat, if you want, you can send me a chat instead. I'll keep an eye out for the chat, okay? So let's start lying down. So today I invite you to come to the earth and make yourself as cozy as you comfortably can. So use whatever props you have around you. So maybe you place something underneath your knees to relieve any pressure you feel in your low back. Maybe you place a pillow or a blanket underneath your head or head and shoulders. All right, and taking a moment here to check in. What have you brought with you today onto your mat? What thoughts are going through your mind? Are you thinking about something that doesn't have to do with our class today? Any thoughts that are cycling through your mind lately? Notice how your body feels today. And with kindness and compassion, exhale it all out. Allow it to go, even if it's just for our time here together. And with every exhale, softening your body down towards the earth just a little bit more. So this week, all the classes are about Ahimsa. So Ahimsa is our first yama, which are our ethical practices in yoga. And I'm sure if you've done classes with me before in the past, you've done this topic with me. It's one of my favorites, but it's also one that we tend to forget about how much it can affect our lives. So Ahimsa means nonviolence. So this includes physical, mental, and emotional violence towards others and towards ourselves. We create violence most often in our reactions to events, to others, habitually creating judgment, criticism, anger, or irritation. Nonviolence in our actions, words, and thoughts towards ourselves and towards others is a practice of compassion for all. In Eastern thought, nonviolence is so valued that it stands as the very core and foundation of all yoga philosophy and practice. So during our practice today, I invite you to move with love, move with kindness and compassion. Do what only feels right for you in your body. Come out if you need to, and be kind and compassionate to yourself in your words and in your thoughts. Today we move with love. All right, so finding some small movements here in your fingers and toes. Rolling around wrists and ankles. Rolling over to one side, whichever side is calling for you. And then gently making your way up to seated. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is finding a blanket or a towel and making a long roll in that blanket or towel. And this one is going to come onto the earth. I feel like we did this last week. I apologize if we did. So this one's going to come onto the earth. We're going to lay on top of it. We want it to come below the shoulder blades, so not on the shoulder blades. Okay. And then finding whatever else will feel comfortable for you underneath your legs. Maybe legs will be out long, or maybe you'll find a bolster or blocks to place underneath the knees to support the low back. Or when you come down, if you wish to come into a reclined butterfly, feet together, knees apart, maybe placing blocks underneath the knees. Okay, so you're going to come down onto the earth. So you know that the blanket is too far up your back if when you come down, if it feels like you can't bring your arms out into a T shape because the blanket is in the way. All right, so before you make adjustments here with your legs, notice how it feels with the blanket in your back. Sometimes it takes a couple of breaths to kind of sink and settle, relax into the pose. And notice if you need to maybe unravel your tube a little bit if it feels like it's too high. And then finding your variation in your legs. Maybe knees are bent, feet are out wide on the mat, allowing the knees to come together. Perhaps legs are long. Or perhaps you find that reclined butterfly, feet together, knees apart. If you wish, finding props to place underneath the knees, or where the hip and the thigh meet each other. Maybe your arms are in a T, or perhaps you find cactus arms. Maybe you reach the arms overhead, fingernails to the earth. Notice how it feels and just find that place of complete comfort. Remember, you don't have to be completely still during our practice. You can make small movements if you need to, adjust your body on the earth if you need to. If you wish to roll out early, you certainly can, and then come on to the floor, Shavasana, or any other comfortable position for you. Taking deep inhales in through your nose and long, slow exhales out. With every exhale, softening, releasing any tension that you feel. So, what does violence towards ourselves look like? Sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves. Sometimes the thoughts that we have about ourselves and the things that we say to ourselves can be critical and judgmental. Sometimes we become angry or irritated with ourselves. And sometimes we are unkind to our own body. You may say to yourself, I am not good enough because I should have, I shouldn't have. We may compare ourselves to others. We may look at or think about a part of our body that we don't like. We may think of it as ugly or whatever it may be. Violence to ourselves is also not getting enough sleep, not resting, or not getting enough to eat. You may be forcing yourself into a variation of a yoga pose that doesn't feel good. How can you be kind and compassionate with yourself? So, violence is a state of mind. Everything that you do can be done from a place of harming or non harming. Allow yourself to be and move with love and not force. And gently bringing your awareness back into the room. Making some small movements here in your body. Then gently rolling over to one side. Making your way up to seated. All right, our next pose is child's pose with different options for variations. So first option is creating a ramp here with whatever props that you have. Maybe if you just have pillows, you could stack some pillows or blankets out in front as well. If you're able to create a ramp, then we want the head of the ramp to be higher and maybe placing a blanket on the earth so that your knees can come to the blanket. You're going to come so that you're not quite seated here on the ramp. And then so knees are out to the side, walking your arms down and turning your head to one direction. So notice if maybe one arm doesn't come down all the way to the earth. If you have other props around you, feel free to place something underneath that forearm to bring the earth up a little bit closer to you. I'll let you know when we are halfway so you can turn your head to the other direction. All right. All right. On the back, we need a strap or, sorry, something of that sort. So the strap is going to go behind the thighs. Okay. And then we're going to come down onto the earth. Keep a hold of the strap. And then bring the legs in closer. And you're going to gently pull on the strap. Relax your arms down towards the earth. Relax your shoulders. So really you just want kind of the weight of your arms to be allowing for your legs to come closer to you. And just allow them to come as close as you feel comfortable. You can even try a variation here by sending the knees out wide. Feet won't stay together. It doesn't matter though. Find whatever feels good for you here. Taking deep inhales, long, slow exhales. So softening your shoulders if you're on your back. Allow your arms to pull the strap. There you go. Find any variation that kind of helps. Taking deep inhales, long, slow exhales. Notice if it feels like you're trying to hold yourself up or hold your legs up somehow. See if you can soften down towards the earth. We are halfway through. If you wish to turn your head to the other direction, if you're in a supported child's pose, perhaps you feel your breath in your back body, taking deep inhales. Feel your body expand and long, slow exhales. Inhaling love, exhaling anything that's standing in your way. Let's find 3 more rounds of breath. Okay. And then once that's complete for you, if you're on your back, release your legs to the earth, roll over to one side, come up to seated. If you're in a supported child's pose, using your hands to help you come back into a tabletop. So you're either seated or in a tabletop. And you're going to find either seated or tabletop cat cows. Round the spine, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone, then move in the opposite direction. Just find a few rounds of movement here at your own pace. Okay, and then once that's complete for you, once you feel like your back is relaxed, coming up to seated if you aren't already there. Okay, our next pose is a reclined goddess pose. So you will need a blanket. The blanket needs to be rolled up into a tube and long enough so that it goes at least from your tailbone to the top of your head, if not longer. And you will need two things to support you. Maybe they're blocks or pillows. They're going to come underneath your legs. So I'll just give you a minute to set up your roll. Once you have your roll set up and you have any other props that you have handy. You're going to come onto the roll. So you're going to kind of sit on it and then lay on top of it so that it comes down your spine. So from the tailbone, maybe you need to scooch up a little bit, down all the way up to at least the top of the head. I say bring your props and I forgot my props. Okay. All right, make sure they're close by. So goddess pose here, cactus arms to begin if it's comfortable for you. So goalpost arms, cactus arms, elbows are bent. If that's not comfortable for you, maybe arms are in a T shape or perhaps arms are down by your sides. If you can, palms face up towards the sky. All right. This is where we find our goddess legs. So we're going to walk the feet out towards the edges of the mat. Okay, and then you're going to activate your feet. You'll have to take your arms out for this, sorry, if you need support here. Activate your feet, toes are pointing out towards the sides, and then allow your knees to drop open. Then relax your feet. If you need to, placing props where the hip meets the thigh. If that's not enough for you, you can always slide the feet down closer to the front of the mat. And then find another way to support your legs here. Arms come wherever's comfortable. And know that if goddess legs is not right for you, you can either bring the legs out long, or you can come into a reclined butterfly, feet together, knees apart, maybe finding props in a place to support your legs. All right, so if you have to at any point make adjustments, if the upper body is not comfortable, feel free to come out and just find this goddess pose in the lower body or change the legs. If you need to come out, activating your feet, bringing your knees back to center, and then rolling over to one side. All right. Deep inhale, long, slow exhale. Okay. So an affirmation that comes from the Kripalu Center. My thoughts and actions are focused on loving awareness. I nurture and cherish myself and others. I am aware that the mind sometimes entertains thoughts of fear, anger, or selfishness, but I do not get caught in those thoughts or act upon them. I accept without judgment any uncomfortable mental states. I release them and return to gentle, non-violent expression of my energy. Releasing any tension you feel in your shoulders. Allow your arms to be heavy. Releasing any tension you feel in your legs, in your hips. Releasing any critical thoughts, any self judgment. Are there any words that you can say to yourself right now? Something that you need to hear, something that is kind, that is loving and nurturing. Gently bringing your awareness back into the room. If your legs are still out in that goddess pose, goddess legs, activate your feet, curl back the toes, bring your feet back flat to the earth, bring the knees together. And wherever you are, perhaps extending one arm long so it comes up by your ear and then roll over onto that side, rolling off of your blanket roll. And then making your way up to seated. Okay, we're going to find a gentle twist. So in this twist, I invite you to find something that you can place underneath your knees. So maybe it's a bolster, it could be stacks of pillows, blankets, maybe it's some blocks with pillows on top. And the way this one is going to be is a nice gentle twist. Um, know that if you also want to, you can place something between the knees if the top knee doesn't come all the way down. So we'll all start with our props on our right side. If it's on the left, it's fine. Just you have to do opposite. All right. So knees are bent, feet are on the earth. Arms come out into a T shape, palms face up. You're going to push your feet into the earth, lift your hips, slide them to the left and place them back down on the earth, and then drop the knees over towards the right onto your prop. So nice gentle twist here. Maybe you need to adjust your feet a little bit so you walk them away. Maybe you need to adjust the prop that's underneath the right knee. Perhaps you place something between the knees. You can always adjust here if you want to make this prop beside you either lower by removing it, finding something else, or higher by placing more on top. So whatever's gentle for you here in your body. And if you wish, looking over towards the left side. Softening, taking deep inhales and long, slow exhales. So today we're going to be in our twist just for a couple of minutes on each side. Okay, so I kind of changed my mind a little bit. For those of you who have to leave early, this is where you're going to change to the other side. For those of you who are here for the full hour, we're going to stay here on this side and then I'll transition you later to the other side. So you may have heard the mantra before. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. That loosely means may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may I contribute somehow to their happiness and freedom. Loka Samasta Sukino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukino Bhavantu. Okay. For those of you who have to leave early, allowing your knees to come back to center. If you need to, windshield wiper your knees from side to side, feet come wide on the mat. For those of you staying for the full hour, we're going to transition over to the other side. So allowing your knees to come back to center, repositioning your back flat on the earth, moving your props over to the left side, pushing your feet into the earth, lift your hips, shift them to the right, and allow your knees to drop to the left. For those of you who have to leave early, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Go in love. Taking deep inhale, long, slow exhale. And you decide when this side is complete for you. And when it is, gently bringing your knees back to center, repositioning your back flat on the earth, maybe windshield wipering the knees from side to side. And then once you feel like your low back is relaxed and soft, coming into Shavasana or any final resting pose on the earth. Again, I invite you to find as many props as you would like so that you can be nurtured and comfortable here on the earth. Okay, so while you were here, I'd like to share a passage from a book by Deborah Adele. The book is The Yamas and Niyamas Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice. So, this is about self love. So, she says some of the things that we can do to practice ahimsa is to find balance and courage. Our ability to stay balanced and courageous has much to do with how we feel about ourselves. How we treat ourselves is, in truth, how we treat those around us. If you are a taskmaker with yourself, others will feel your whip. If you are critical of yourself, others will feel your high expectations of themselves as well. If you are lighthearted and forgiving with yourself, others will feel at ease and joy of being with you. Sorry, feel the ease and joy of being with you. If you find laughter and delight in yourself, others will be healed in your presence. We would never purchase a can of red paint and expect it to be the color blue when we apply it to our walls. And yet we can be so harsh and demanding with ourselves and then expect to be loving with others. It just doesn't work that way. The color of paint inside the can is the color that whatever we paint becomes. The color of how we treat ourselves is the color of how we treat others. If we can't be safe with ourselves, others can never be safe with us, and the world can never be a safe place to be. We can have hearts that are full of love for others and intentions to love that are pure. But the truth is, we will express that love for others by treating them the same way we treat ourselves. Love lies at the core of nonviolence and begins with our love of ourselves. Not a love that is egocentric, but a love that is forgiving and lenient. A love that sees the humor in the imperfections and accepts the fullness of the human expression. Only when we find this love for all the parts of ourselves can we begin to express fully the love that wells up inside of us for others. Finding this love for all parts of ourselves mean we have to forgive ourselves. Without forgiveness, we carry guilt like a heavy burden around our hearts. Guilt holds our love for self and others hostage and keeps us bound to a one sided expectation of human experience. I cannot say this enough times. Our inability to love and accept all the pieces of ourselves creates ripples, tiny acts of violence that have huge and lasting impacts on others. Nonviolence is woven with love, and love of another is woven with love of self. These cannot be separated. And gently bringing your awareness back. Perhaps making some loving and kind movements in your body. Whenever you are ready, rolling over to one side, whichever side is calling for you. And then gently making your way up to seated. And once you get there, lowering or closing your eyes. Perhaps bringing your hands to heart center and bowing your head. Honor yourself for carving out this time to take care of your body, your mind, and your heart, to practice Ahimsa, nonviolence. And I honor you for being here today and for sharing your practice with me. Have a beautiful evening and go in love.